Table Talk is not your typical D&D TTRPG podcast. We are not here to run you through our whole campaign.
We're here to talk about everything else in the space of tabletop roleplay.
I'm your host, Alejandra Wilhelm.
And I'm also your host, Mariah Gresham.
And we're your tabletop roleplay girlies. And we're live.
Hello, Governor.
Huh?
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Governor. Welcome back to what is now episode 3.
Yeah. Crazy.
Episode 3 of Table Talk. And today I kind of wanted to talk about a little subject that I think you and I are both pretty familiar with and experienced with. Like male dominated games and tables versus when you've played in spaces where it's mostly like female or feminine presenting or queer identifying peoples.
Yes.
And when I say like predominantly male tables, I mean like male mask, like mostly like cis men who are
what is kind of traditionally associated.
Traditionally were the predominant people in the space of D&D a long time ago, but since things have definitely really evolved in the past few years, especially with this kind of like renaissance of D&D kind of.
Escapism is a hell of a drug.
Escapism is a hell of a drug whenever you've been through a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
And the economy is in ruin. The government is terrible.
Somewhat. We need something.
We need a small reprieve. Yes. And everybody is like, you know what? This shit hit pretty good when everything else is falling apart.
Yeah.
At least I can control the chaos here.
Yeah.
Or have some illusion of it for sure. But yeah, it's this space. And again, I think I want to preface that, we are only speaking from our own personal experiences. This is not a generalization about anybody or any group of people or anything, but we've definitely experienced and played at tables where it's mostly male or male presenting people. And then we are now currently thriving in an environment where
all women.
That is basically all women, with like the exception of maybe the DM, and even in some cases that's not the case.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I wanted to talk about it's mostly been in my experience. Both of those environments have really great things to offer as far as the experience of D&D.
For sure.
Because I think in my experience, when I've been either the only woman at the table or one of the only women at the table, and it's mostly men in the party as well as like a male DM, it's an environment that where I and also like I can't say I've ever experienced like an at table in person experience with mostly men. It's mostly been my virtual D&D games for me.
Yeah, I've had.
Because even that first game that we played in together,
there were more men than women, but also like a good amount of queer people.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was about 50-50.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was still a good mix of.
Yeah. And it made it really interesting. But I think the games that I've currently been in, which I've been playing both of those campaigns respectively for a little bit over a year now. And I entered those with, I'm brand new, don't know these men. Yeah. And it was just, I knew somebody that was already in the game and he kind of brought me in, and getting to know those people and how they play games versus what I had personally experienced in my in-person games was really, really buck wild and different, because they were super, very, very into combat, very into character optimization. They like
the technical aspects.
Aspects of it, and they know that damn character sheet.
Yes,
left, back,
and like
right,
character abilities and all of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they can do all these cool fucking things in combat with all of these abilities. And I was like kind of on the back foot a little bit because I'm not. It's not something that used to come naturally to me at all. And
you hadn't put as much thought into like your character's utility.
Yeah.
Just who they are as a person.
My character creation process is like, I find really pretty art. Then I come up with the concept of the character.
Yeah.
And then I find the mechanics in class to make my idea work. I normally don't approach the character creation process from I pick my class first.
See,
with the idea of like, how is this going to mechanically work in game?
I kind of do.
Mhm.
I pick like, I have an idea of what I want to play. And so it's usually class, and then it's some combination of looking at races for plot reasons and optimization reasons,
Mhm.
but then also sometimes trying to find good art. And like if I find art that hits, like my character in that Ocean's Pride server, Maris, like she was a Twilight, a Drow, Twilight Cleric, and Psionic Rogue.
For sure.
And I found that because that picture in Tasha's, they introduced Twilight Cleric, and I was like, it looked kind of like a Drow or Shadow High Elf or something. And I was like, that's something.
Yeah. That
and I'm like,
hits the good bone.
I see it and I can't get it out of my head now. So that's what it has to be. So like, I don't know. Yeah. It's weird for me where it comes from. Sometimes it is more than emotional, like what I want to play with.
Yeah.
And sort of like what axes and sort of tension points I want to run around with, and how it fits into the world too.
And it's been an interesting time adapting to that different kind of play style where you know, I had to have some moments of realization that I was like, damn, these people really know how to like optimize their turns in combat. They know exactly what their characters are doing in combat. And I feel like a little bit of a liability because I don't know how to manage my character to the same level.
Yes.
So I had experiences where I was like, after a few times where we've encountered combat and having that feeling of like, I feel like I'm not doing enough to pull my weight in this party in a combat sense. And this is definitely the tone that takes priority in this kind of game with this group of people in particular. And so I had moments where I had to sit down with like a DM or somebody in the party that I was like, you're really good at understanding mechanics and rules and all of these things. And so I was like, you know, take a look at my character sheet and help me like realize my potential.
What my options are.
What are my options? Like run me through what the kinds of things that I could do in combat. So I have it in mind when I enter combat next time. And I can feel like I'm a little more useful, or I'm at least like playing on the same level as these other people.
Like you don't feel like you're just doing the obvious stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And like I found tons of value in that.
Oh yeah.
And it is something that I found that is more emphasized at predominantly like male present tables, as opposed to my experiences when I've played with a lot of like feminine presenting or women or cis women and you know, like the queers, of which we are
the girls and the gays.
The girls and the gays, and that's it. And you know, we are proud members of that community. But those spaces are where I would say, for example, like our particular little group now between you, me, Alyssa, and Bex, now that we've been playing for several years at this point, are very knowledgeable about combat, and we find a lot of value in that. But before, we were definitely like hardcore roleplay hoes, and and
we still are, and like it's a good balance of like, because like I'll catch myself like in your Strixhaven campaign, which we knew was gonna be mostly role play, of like when I was building out my character, I'm like, there is that bit of I'm like, okay, I want to do it. It's fun when you can just do a dumb amount of damage in a round.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, like, well, like I don't even know if I'm gonna use this, but if it does, like she's just gonna be
should the opportunity arise,
she's gonna be Kool-Aid manning through this wall.
Yeah,
because
and like I think, for example, like with us, I've had so many times where I've played at the table with y'all, or now, you know, been DMing for y'all, and love every aspect of how hard we go on the role play and the stories that we tell with these characters. And it comes very natural, and it's very emphasized at tables where I've been with mostly women or like other queer folk, you know, because of that escapism. And we translate a lot of ourselves into those characters where I think maybe,
you're going for a different thing where it's
Yeah.
almost like more of sometimes I think tabletop role playing games similar to like or something like board games or video games where you're just like
Mhm.
piloting your avatar around a little bit and like killing shit and being a murder hobo and living your life.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of just like I can turn my brain off kind of fun with that. And then there's also like, okay, I'm gonna optimize it for combat and I'm gonna do a whole like it reminds me of like I don't play League of Legends or like anything like that. Like those kind of games where you're out here like battle planning and like orchestrating
top down
everything.
strategy.
Yes. And it's like, yeah, it's that kind of vibe. And it's all good, but it's just like a different kind of
like when I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of
experience.
men, I feel like I'm in a war room meeting.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a table full of women,
You're in like a writer's room.
Yeah, I'm in a writer's room. Yeah. Like a writer's room, art direct, like story director situation. And both offer so much value because like I don't think I would have gotten as good at combat as I am now if I had not had those experiences where I'm like, okay, trial by fire. I really gotta step my fucking game up, you know, in order to go to bat with these guys and feel like I'm
kind of
contributing to this game that we're all playing together and stuff. And it helps me learn mechanics. It helps me learn my characters and different classes. And now I feel pretty competent and I have a lot of confidence now in in one of my games, I have a possible character death incoming and I'm kind of hanging in limbo at the moment. And I've told my DM as, repercussions to his own actions should he choose to kill my character or if the dice deem it so. I am going to come in here with a full on like Yuan-Ti artificer and make it a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And
it's not going to be a great, it's going to be inconvenient.
Yeah. I've already rolled her. She's min-max as fuck. I've read through everything that I need to know about how to play a fucking artificer. And I'm like, I will walk in here.
I'm ready.
And be a fucking problem for you. Like with no mercy whatsoever.
Bubblegum pink artificer.
I am going to come in here with this bubblegum pink Barbie Yuan-Ti artificer and make myself a problem for like you and your entire story.
She has a single high heel on her little snake tail.
Exactly. Pretty much. And so like
so good.
Well, Yuan-Ti have legs. They're not like Naga, but yeah, no.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so I'm like,
she has a Naga that has a single heel on its snake tail.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas before I was just, there are certain classes that I would steer entirely clear from because I was like, those seem complicated.
Yeah, like I've played a monk in the Ravenloft campaign, which like is a lot of fun and like it is a little bit ironic where it's like monks don't wear armor and they don't really use a ton of weapons. Like some of them do, but it's more like you may have like a quarterstaff or like a glaive or something like that. But there's a lot of options where it's like, all right, I guess I punch the Eldritch monster in the face.
Just can I punch God right in the
basically
snoot?
Yeah. Like, we remember those bit where we were like being chased by werewolves.
Oh yeah.
And like
was it werewolves or they were just big wolves? I think Strahd sent.
That's it. Yeah.
Sent his dire wolves.
Yeah, they were dire wolves. And like somebody had like snapped my fucking quarterstaff for reasons.
Clean in half, yeah.
And so I didn't have that.
I think it was like the third quarterstaff you'd been through. You could
I
not
started carrying backups.
You could not keep a quarterstaff.
I could not keep a quarterstaff. And so like I make your fists do magic damage, but I was just like, all right, it's my turn. I guess I punch it in the snout.
Yeah, I guess I just go like full Rocky on this dog.
I was like, that's what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
So like that's a chaotic kind of fun that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm about to start playing another monk of like a different flavor.
Yeah.
In our other campaign.
Yeah.
But monks are quite complicated of like you can play them and you can play a simplified version of them. But if you want to get the most utility and like action economy out of them, you do have to think quite strategically.
Yeah.
And like read the tempo of the fight and like where are we at? Like have we reached the peak and it's going down, or are we still waiting for like the giant motherfucker to come out of the tunnel in the back? Like whatever, you know, what's gonna happen. And I've burnt all of my key points and I can't do anything now.
Yeah. And I think definitely like sitting down at the table with like certain DMs, and then also tables where I feel like, you know, either I'm the only woman or one of the only women, are those times when like I've really had to like read up on the strategy, the action economy, know how to manage my time and space properly. And like, whereas before I was like, please just give me a barbarian so I can just play whack fuck out here, because that's all I have the brain power to do. Whack fuck. And because I really was my first character, I would say that I actually like play. I want to say played, but realistically, I role played her on a like RP server. But we still included like D&D mechanics. Was my barbarian Raina?
Yeah,
and familiarized myself a lot with that, and like she ended up becoming a whole entire beast in and of
she's a whole
itself.
thing. She's
still
bebop. She's irrelevant.
She's still out here in these.
She had a journey.
Streets. You know, like I made friends with people that really explained it to me. And now I've built that confidence in that, like, now I feel like I can pick up any class, you know?
Yeah, like I was opposites. Like my first character is a sorcerer, and for a bit I only played casters. And then Eva, my monk, was, I believe, like one of the first melee characters I really played, certainly on like a long campaign. But and yeah, now it's a weird thing of like I've been playing, like I've played a fighter for a bit and I'm playing a paladin now, and like it's interesting to like mix and find the different things. So it's like, okay, what brand of chaos do I want to deal with right now? Like and it's interesting because like I play a rogue too in the other campaign. Yeah, a friend of mine runs, and he's fairly new to D&D in general. And when he started running that campaign, he was a very new DM. So it was like the only women are me and his wife. But I'm also one of the more experienced players in there. So it's interesting because I weigh in on mechanic stuff because I've played for longer and I know more like, oh, like, did somebody just get one shot killed? And it's like, well, no, because you didn't, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like, so that's been interesting too. Because I definitely adapt how I play too. And now that I'm thinking about it, just verbal processing things,
as you do,
I wonder if it is a bit of like, yeah, the vibe is different, but we also tailor how we play and how we approach
depending on the
game,
dynamics. Yeah.
Depending on like the dynamic of the table. And in some ways, like not just the gender makeup or the sexuality makeup of the table, but any like we're no one, you know, we are each all individuals. Like there's
absolutely,
no like
absolutely.
Things are not, they're in a monolith here. Like there's always exceptions to the rule and everyone's experience is unique and yada yada. But like in that other campaign of like I play a rogue, and yeah, my serotonin is just doing buku damage.
Yeah.
And rolling my 46 sneak attack.
And it just feels so good.
Yeah, like I threw a knife at a dude and killed him in one shot. And like my DM was like, all right, well, yeah, he's down. He is dead. I'm like, oh, okay. And we're like, okay, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So like that's a different kind of fun than like in our Strixhaven campaign where the combat's there, and I like that's been really cool to play with, and it's narrative in a different kind of way, but I focus more on the role-playing side of the house. Aspects. And I wonder if it is just that you can enjoy games better. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about an episode or two ago, where it's like you have to treat each game individually.
Each DM individually.
And each DM individually. Yeah. And like not try to make a game be something it isn't.
Yeah. You can get value out of the kind of game that it is. And the differences are good, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it can kind of expand your breadth and depth of experience, and then you can fine tune, because there's a point where it's like, okay, well, compatibility with tables and stuff is a certain thing, and like if you just aren't jiving with a group and it just isn't working, then like there's no shame in leaving that. If it's just if it's not fun, you shouldn't force yourself to play. But also, it's like you don't have to just, there's benefit, I think, to playing outside of your preferred niche.
Mm-hmm.
Like, will I ever run a dungeon crawler? Hell no. Absolutely not.
Probably not. I don't want to go through that
it's
much
too
combat.
much math. I don't want to keep up with all those monsters. I don't want to keep up with, like, the angles in the room and pretend we're on a fantasy SWAT team. And it's like, all right, as we cut the pie and fucking go around. Like,
let me take out my giant fantasy ruler.
This goblin has half cover behind the bear. Like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to manage all that.
Which is why I chose a system that is like all RP. But like, are there still fun parts of playing that? Yeah. Like, dungeon crawler one-shots are great. Would I want to play a campaign that's only that?
Probably not.
Like, that would be too much.
Yeah. And I think campaigns are all about like finding how that your players particularly find their fun, tailoring to that, and understanding that there is a balance between the role play and the combat. Yeah. And you just adjust accordingly. Like, I don't think a campaign that is 100% role play with no combat, no stakes.
No, because
will have the same impact.
No. Yeah, because for some extent, even if it's social combat, like which is a thing basically in Vampire the Masquerade, like there has to be stakes. Yeah. And there has to be consequences for actions. You can't just let people run amok through the world with no result of whatever.
No repercussions to your own actions.
There's like, I burned the town hall down. It's like, and nothing happens because we live in the void. Yeah. Like, no, you have to have
to fuck around is human, and to find out is divine. Yeah, 100%. That has to, those are the tenets that our society is founded upon.
That's a t-shirt. If we have merch right there. And to fuck around is human, and to find out is divine. Wow, I need to embroider that on something.
I can't take credit for that because 90% of my personality comes from the internet. I'm just absorbing.
I think it's always like, I say I have so many random little colloquialisms and things that I say, and some of it
you do have some fucking gold nuggets that just come out of your mouth,
and I'm awful at remembering them, and I don't know if it's one, some of them are like from my family, and just from by proxy of being Southern and having, like, my grandma's from Louisiana, she's got some ridiculous shit, but and then also things just pop into my brain and I say them around, like, y'all, like my close friends that I'm comfortable with. I don't filter the nonsense.
You are one of the only people in my life that I can honestly say has had me roiling in laughter consistently. I can speak. It's an auditory medium, but it's fine.
It's okay.
But like, you have had me cracking up laughing so many times in just the quickest, wittiest little blurbs, and I appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, rambling, but I do want to harken back to that, what you said, where, sometimes just dealing that good damage or feeling like you did something fucking cool in combat is its own reward. And it's so tasty. And I remember one of the first times that I really, like, when my character and her abilities just fucking clicked for me.
Yeah.
I was playing Val. She's an assassin rogue.
The one whose life is currently in the balance.
She is the one whose life is currently in the balance. But listen, I trust that the dice will be merciful and not hold me the way that they did in order to put her there. I just got to get on my knees for the robot,
Dice bots, man. Which, like, you had that dice bot.
That dice bot was whipped for me.
You and
that
dice
longest.
bot were locked in.
Yeah, like I was buttoned up. There would be sessions I rolled nothing below a 20,
which I hated. It's like, I hate dice bots. They stress me out. I feel like if my dice roll poorly, then like that's me. I feel like that's
on me.
That's a combination of me and them.
Yeah.
If the robot dice roll poorly, I don't Like, I don't know
I
where
shift
to
the
put
blame to the entity in the computer.
Yeah, and it's like I don't like it's not a physical thing, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Be mad at my computer? I need that for other things. So it's just like I don't know. You can't put your computer in jail. In a bad detail.
Yeah, in the way
Like,
that you can.
it's just I don't know. Yeah, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
It's the same way where like some people use dice towers, and I'm like, no, I can't use a dice tower.
I can't use a dice tower either.
Because if it rolls well or it rolls poorly, I will feel like I didn't control that.
I need like the juju to be directly from me.
Yeah. And maybe that just says something about me having control issues. But that's fine.
We'll address that in therapy.
There are moments where it's fine, and there are moments where you gotta wheel it back.
Yeah.
And this is one where it's fine.
Absolutely. But yeah, with Val, it was a situation of like, she's a rogue assassin, and I had not played a rogue assassin before. And we'd been playing for a hot minute. We have gotten some cool items under our belts. We have a player whose whole family is just a bunch of artificers, and we are kind of like on this little caravan trip across Eberron to start a mining town, and we're now established and all these good things. But I had gotten like a chain dagger situation. So I got a dagger from another PC.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, a family dagger. And that was like my one magical item I worked with the DM to get. And it's this immovable rod in a dagger. And so immovable dagger, my baby. And I had someone basically attach that to a chain. And I was like, I want to live my Trevor Belmont fantasy.
Yeah.
Out here.
Like, I want to feel what Kratos feels.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I want this bitch to be a menace. And so
God, I wish I need to find a spec for Trevor Belmont's Morningstar.
That would be so good. So fucking good. And so I have that with her. And like, again, this is that group of like, they're mostly dudes, and I've never played with them before. I don't know them. And like, I had a bit of an adjustment period. And I also had gotten this gauntlet. It's like a symbiote, has some abilities to it. And at some point, I had that sit down session no, it wasn't even a sit down session. I know what happened. We were traveling and we got kind of veered off path, and we were facing some like bear parrot fusion monster situation, as in like they could mimic voices.
That's a bad,
but they're like this dire bear with a beak situation.
That's a bad combo.
Wild. And
how did that happen?
Yeah, who knows?
See, the fucked up thing about that is you see that in the game, and then you're like, one, in world, how did this occur? Under what horrific circumstances?
Yeah.
And then two, you think of people who have, or I do, at least because I'm this person, think of people who made this.
Yeah.
Who brought this
into reality,
eldritch creation out of the abyss into reality. And it's like, where were you at mentally when you went into work?
When you decided this?
And you were like, all right,
I'm going to slap a toucan beak on a bear and call it a day.
Yeah, we have werecats. What about werebird parrot? Or werebear parrot?
Werebear parrot. Yeah.
I hate that.
We call them
parrots.
parrots.
And then everyone else was like, fair enough.
Yeah.
Is it colorful?
Yeah.
They're like, sometimes.
Who knows?
Gay bear parrot. All
Gay
right.
bear parrot.
And I'm like, what is that work? Like, what is that? What are you taking in that workplace? Because I need some.
Yeah. And so we're facing off these fucking the Barretts, the gay Barretts. The gay bear parrot. And I remember like, combat's happening and whatever. And then I'm looking at my sheet and I'm looking at my gauntlet and my other things that I have. I was having that moment of like, I need to do something, right?
Yeah.
I can't just be out here doing like stab and that's my turn.
Right.
And so I'm looking and suddenly like I have a moment where my action economy kind of
the stars.
The calculations are like floating in front of me. And I realize I'm like, okay, technically with where I'm at in combat, I could stab this thing and use my gauntlet, which has like a fear condition. It has an eyeball in the palm, and whenever it has to happen when I've hit. So if I hit, this can automatically pop off. It's not like a reaction or anything.
And so it's like a free.
Yeah, it's like a free condition to hit. I can only use it once a day. And
still though,
so it's one attack that I can use this on. And so I hit I think there was like a couple different Barretts, and there was one big boy, right?
Yeah.
And the big boy was the
fixer.
a fixer. And he was
like, it's you.
Yeah, he's a major problem. He was right in front of me. I'm trying to protect our poor squishy cleric. And I was like, okay, Carson, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
And by all means, tell me if I can't do this.
Yeah.
But technically, I've now hit. I'm already getting sneak attack damage.
Right.
Pretty sure it was a crit.
Great.
So it was already double damage.
Great.
And I was like, I can technically now pop off my glove gauntlet condition thing and force it to run away from me. And the other condition of the dagger in which I have stabbed it with is that I can take on an opportunity attack. I can activate the immovable rod if it's already in, and force them to just flay themselves as they have to be forced to run away from me. So I'm now doing my normal damage, my sneak attack damage, this additional slicing damage, the psychic damage from my gauntlet.
Right.
And all of this is now doubled.
The person's like, I fucked myself. He's like, I made choices.
He's like,
They're coming back to haunt me now.
I did, in fact, give this to this woman. And
although, like, you just make everything beefier.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was like I got the dagger before I got the gauntlet. The gauntlet was a completely like a whoopsie daisy. We found this in a fucking cave.
Yeah, y'all were just finding fucking symbiotes.
We were just finding symbiotes
and attaching them to your bodies and like living your lives.
Yeah, and so like I just happened to get the gauntlet. Is the one that I chose to pick up.
Interesting.
Without knowing what it was, without knowing the ability, nor how well it would pair with this dagger.
You couldn't cast Identify. You didn't know.
Nah, I ain't no magic bitch.
You're like, I would like bracelet.
Yeah.
I would like eye bracelet.
And so when that combo happened, I took that like dire Barrett from its full health to like 2/3 of the way down.
Right.
In a single hit.
After it ripped its Barrett body off the fucking chain.
Yeah.
Off the dagger and then down the chain.
And then I proceeded to attack again. So like it was added insult to injury.
That's some like the boys shit. Like, can you imagine if that got animated? That would be gnarly. Oh my god.
And so I remember taking that turn and everyone in my party and myself included just like realizing the potential that I have. And I was like, oh, this feels fucking good.
And they're like, we can go back to the houseboat, right? You're good. You got this.
I was like, but that was my moment. I think I can genuinely say my first moment of doing something in combat that I think I really was like, I didn't have to ask anybody for that. Nobody taught me that I could do that. I genuinely came to that conclusion myself. Like the gears clicked for me. And then I did it. And then it wound up in such a fucking cool turn. And I'd rolled a stupid amount of damage. And realized that I'm like, oh, I have this thing in my back pocket. Yeah. That when the stars align and I can pop it off.
Like this is what I do now.
On the big, like targeted at the big bad. I can take that bitch out into
like this is my
almost in a single turn.
Finish him moment.
Yeah. And so that like also made Carson real, but I can only pop it off once, So
that's the big like
you gotta balance the conditions
like, damn, let's
here.
just give Val a Tarask to fuck with while everybody else fights.
Pretty much. But that was my first moment, and genuinely, like in hindsight, thinking about it, I was like, I don't think I would have been able to click those things for myself if I hadn't had those interactions at tables. That combat was so heavy, and had people like explain that shit to me.
Yeah, like why things work the way they did.
Exactly.
And, like,
exactly. And so I was like, I was just so proud of myself in that moment. And it, like, it's value that you can find at different tables and for different reasons. Yeah. In the same vein of like the tables that we've had with just, the girls and the gays, that we've had some incredibly powerful, like emotionally built role play moments that I'm like, I have cried so much at tables with y'all. With genuine emotions of like Oscar award winning performances. And I'm like, this is
things you've been building to for months.
Yeah, this is hard work. And I was like, or like the betrayals and the intrigue and all of this. And I'm like, that to me is like crack cocaine. I'm out here addicted to it.
Yeah, mine for that, I'm so sad that we never got to play it. But Eva, my monk character in Ravenloft, because I had, you know the story, we'll repeat it for the people. Because the second we left that campaign, I was like, I will tell you what I've been
I'll tell
plotting.
you everything that was meant to happen with my girl.
Because I need someone to know. So like early on, I had like, Eva was the first time I tried to play like a happy character. And I was like, what is this? What is emotional stability? And so our DM was like, okay, well, we can fuck this up for her. Like, and
he's like, yeah,
great.
you need her to be traumatized.
Yeah, like, I can do that for you. I'm like, okay, fantastic. So, and then
thank you for putting me back in my comfort zone.
And ow. Not just a direct hit me. Just the knife in the dark. But like I had an idea early on, and I was like, it would be cool to do, since it is Ravenloft, and obviously like Strahd is kind of the big bad Lord of the Dreadlords, to build like this what's it called? The creepy like Shadow Ranger.
Gloomstalker.
Yeah, it's like a reborn Gloomstalker Ranger that was like taken captive by Strahd and like turned and like, you know, killed and then resurrected and like made into his creature. And then is introduced as an NPC and then is ingratiated into the party, but ends up in the end either betraying the party for Strahd because like has a full, you know, kidnapper thing,
Stockholm syndrome,
a Stockholm syndrome complex thing.
Yeah.
Or through events and starting to regain some of her memories, like maybe she figures out what Strahd actually is, but also like Strahd was her patron. She took a level of warlock. And so there was that like patron bond. He could see through her eyes and things like that. So it would have been,
we would have been so fucked.
It would have been hard for her to break that. So, but then we were in, like our pirate dread domain, and Eva was going to get captured toward the end of that. Or actually not even toward the end of it. We were going to do it about in the middle, because then the party would have to go prepare to like fight him at the end. And then the party would like negotiate to get her back, whatever. It would seem like everything's kosher and above table. And if, you know, you guys rolled any insight checks on the Dreadlord as he was about to hand her over, it would be like, no, yeah, he seems like he's going to. And then effectively, he was in a last minute be like, or not, and then behead her.
Just full, like, Game of Thrones, like, the exchange of Rickon Stark. And
just like
just, fully firing on that bitch.
Yeah, just Ramsay moment of, like, pure psychosis. And just flip Megalomaniac changed his mind. And he could do enough damage to kill her in one strike. So to take all her remaining HP and her max in one hit. And so, yeah, she would just get beheaded in front of the party. And then
wild.
The DM would hand me my Gloomstalker Ranger Neris's character sheet, who would have already been kind of working with the party as sort of a guide and NPC.
Yeah, like worked in as an NPC a little bit.
And then I would, because Ravenloft is not a setting where you can really just bring in a new bitch, and it's not going to be suspicious.
Scott, I mean,
you're like, I'm Sally, and I came out of the woods. You're like, and go right back.
For real, I brought my new girl, and y'all were like, we don't fucking trust you. And I was like, the dichotomy or the difference between how my previous character was treated and this new girl that came in, I was like, damn, that was a hard swing.
Because we came into Ravenloft as that original party.
Yeah.
Brought in by a goddess. So it was like, if a new bitch shows up on the scene, it's like, from whence did you come?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
We've got trust issues now, bitch, and you're gonna have to justify.
Exactly. And so, I was like, okay, we've got to like, especially since this narrative is well and true psychopath, and like, we've got to build her in as like, oh, you know, she was a mistwalker, and so she had abilities to like go through and navigate between the domains that like the party didn't have and all of that. And then so when he handed me, you know, her sheet and I took her over, it wouldn't be suspicious. And I'm so sad that we never got to play that.
I know,
because it would have been so good.
And such is the nature of a lot of games sometimes, because sometimes the parties fall apart and you're like, these are unresolved characters that I will just like never really get to tie a neat little bow.
Yeah,
on their
like
story.
Cadence's death scene, and then when you have a character on him, that was really, really good.
That was such a good fucking scene, and honestly, I'm very happy that I got to have that.
Yeah,
Even though I didn't get to do much with Anima after the fact. Like I think we only played a couple sessions after that.
yeah,
But like that Cadence scene, I was like, this feels very good and very right.
it was a nice like farewell to
Yeah,
Cadence,
yeah,
and put a bow on like that.
yeah.
Period.
So I have at least decent closure with like Cadence as part of the story.
Yes.
But the like, yeah, I'm kind of like harkening back to that table. You know, it was still a party full of women, but we had like a male DM, and it was an element of like, I think that was the first table I felt like the combat and roleplay aspects were 50-50.
Yeah. And they were like well balanced of like, it was a lot of role play and it was very story driven, but like there were consequences of like, if we would go and like go around trying to gather stuff, of like, you're going to get in some kind of scuffle.
Yeah.
And if you got in a fight or you tried to start something with someone that was more powerful than you, it's like, there are consequences.
The stakes were real and the stakes were high.
Yeah.
And then also, I think that's also the first time I've sat at a party and I felt like we had a cohesiveness to our combat. Like we worked well together.
Yes.
And we had like fucking whammy combos that we would do playing off of each other's
like
abilities.
You double cast sleep to like put more enemies down.
Like me and Vex's character Tanari as a spellcaster, like I'll be like support characters for combat. We were sharing the responsibility of buffing and dealing like damage or sabotaging the battlefield or
trying to control
sort of and like we were just working really well in tandem together and setting you and the others up for success essentially. And
keeping us free to be able to do damage and
exactly
keep us up so we could
so that was also like a great learning experience for me. And then this past like a couple sessions back of this new game that we are now in, which is with a new DM, also, you know, a man and, you know, albeit a man that doesn't know us prior to playing. But it's also his first experience with an all-female table.
Yes.
Because he's a ex-military guy and he's, you know, DM'd for his military buddies.
Yep.
And I forewarned him. I was like, hey, my guy, this is a whole different monster. You are gonna have to get whole new tack and rein to ride this beast. Because it's different. It's entirely different. And I remember, you know, he had a Discord server already made for it, and there was Chrissy, who was someone that we did not know prior, but she was someone that he had matched with before. Romantic things didn't work out, but they were still friends, and she was ready to like play in this campaign with him. And she'd been waiting for like 5 months, and then suddenly all of us show up in the goddamn Discord.
It's like,
and she had the moment of realization. She's like, "Wait a minute, are these all women?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "Hell yeah, girl, you better buckle up because it's about to be a fucking time." And you know, and sure enough, we met her and we fell in love with her like right away. She's great. And I can tell that like that first session that we played, and he forewarned us that it was gonna be, you know, it's an Eldritch horror campaign.
It's a horror campaign. He's like, it is,
and he is
shit is real and dicey.
He's shooting to kill. Like he's not gonna pull punches. And I think we all came in with that knowledge, and we were like, all right, I gotta pull out my A game. And so I think all of our respective skills that we've built up from our previous games were like
helpful.
All right,
sure.
So I think we all came into it with our characters, and we were like, I know everything there is to know about the mechanics of my girl and how to counteract anything that you might throw at me.
And we started at level 2.
Yeah.
Which is
terrifying.
Awful. Yeah. Like we just got our second level in your Strixhaven campaign. And it's funny because it's some things where you feel like you've been playing these characters for like,
you're like, it's been 50 years.
I feel like they should have graduated. But I was like, oh yeah, they're still just level 1 characters.
Yeah.
Like I just got spellcast. I don't even have my, like, I haven't even taken an oath yet.
Yeah.
we got a homebrew that
We're
day.
babies. We are infants.
And then so after that, we went into that first session of the horror campaign as level 2, which is not a lot of levels when like what's
Not
on
a
the
lot
10
that
is
you
that
can do.
your life is in danger.
I'm like, I looked at my cleric and I was like, sick. I got 3 level 1 spell slots.
Like that's it.
And
Like
that's it.
I've a dick all in a dream. That's it. Like
that's it. And like we entered that first combat, and like, I mean, that first combat was, and he had warned me ahead of time. He's like, there are going to be situations where you are clearly
Like,
probably
you
better
should
off
just
running
run.
away.
And I looked at that and I'm like, I feel like it's one of those.
It's definitely one of those.
And then it became aggressively clear that that wasn't what we were going to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, shit, we're going to be here a minute.
Yeah. Like, you know, my girl was a little bit at the center in that, like, I had to endure some trials, and the other PCs are kind of watching it happen.
It interrupted your
and it interrupted my little cleric test. But by the time that shit popped off, I'm like, I've been worn down because of my trials. And suddenly I'm in a goddamn arena with 3 fucking basilisks as a level 2 cleric.
And it's like, you're basically a liability.
Yeah. So it was like,
because you
and I have 1 spell slot and a dream.
Yeah. You have like the ability to heal yourself before what would have been the final round of the trials. And then it's just like, here's like 4 basilisks.
Yeah.
And like half the people in the audience turn into
Are
like
heretic.
flame sorcerer heretics.
Yeah.
And the only like villagers that were people in town that made it out were the people that knew their exits. If you weren't by an exit, you did die.
Yeah.
I was like, we cannot save
And at
you.
this point in time, aside from like your character and mine and like one other character who had to get yoinked immediately because the player had to leave.
Yeah.
So we were already down a character.
There's 3 of us.
And then the other 2 people, my character does not know personally.
Yeah.
So we have not been introduced as a party. So I was like, damn. And I did what it could. I got out of that situation thinking that everybody else in the party would also just be aiming to find their quick exits.
That was the plan.
That was the plan.
But like, it was a thing of we couldn't just leave because the way like we had the minis, you're playing at a kind of like a game store. So they have minis that you can build, which is really quite cool, by the way. And we do more theater of the mind. So it's really fun to be able to like have the arena and visualize and like
know
see
where I'm running from. And
that was really cool. Yeah. But it looked like we could just run out of the arena like gates and run. Like, so I thought it was more like, you know, like a horse arena where it's like there's the gate, but then once you're out, you're out. But it's not. It's more like an NFL, like a professional sports arena where it's like you get out. You got to
go down these hallways,
and then you have to get out of the stadium. And I was like, well, that's inconvenient.
Yeah,
because it's wooden on fire, which is
with basilisks running around. The fucking place.
Big noodle boys.
Yeah,
running around. It's like.
But I remember watching that combat because, like, you know, my character got out of that fairly early in the combat as soon as I could, so that to avoid killing my character in the first session. But then watching you 3 be in that combat, and like it is so clear that this was meant to be a thing that was weighed against us, and we are meant to run away. Yes. And you 3
just cleared
fucking house like some bad bitches. Yeah. And like we're working together in tandem. Your abilities were perfect. You were like rolling exactly what you needed to roll. Yeah. And like
it wasn't impossible. Like they were like the heretics didn't have a ton of HP.
No.
So like I was playing a gunslinger. And so like a shot or 2 could take them out.
Yeah.
And then like Bex is playing a druid.
Yeah, a Warforged druid.
And then Alyssa is a paladin. So like paladins do pretty good. Pretty good. Even at level 2, you get like a long sword and you get like a D8 plus something. So like we were able to work through it. And like there's where I'm like, I don't know if we can clear all these bitches. And he also had like for sure, like 1 NPC that was like a level 10.
There was 1 NPC that was out there.
There was just 1v1 and like 2 basilisks.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you, my brother.
He's over here, Captain America, like holding these 2 basilisks with 2 fucking arms.
Yeah. And I was like, great. my brother in Christ, we're gonna be great. We can clear everybody else out.
Yeah.
And then it was like trying to get out, and it was funny because the way Teddy had us make our characters is cool because we didn't take ability like stat increases, but we got to pick. We all got a feat, and then we got to pick like three
characteristics from our other
character
race.
attributes. Yeah. So like my role was half human and half Shatterkai elf. So I took like advantage on, or like proficiency in perception, because that's important for gunslingers, dark vision, because like you gotta be able to see at night.
You gotta be able to see at night.
Bitch. It's like, you
can't be the bitch in an Eldritch Horror campaign who can't see at night.
That has to have a candle. Like you can't. Like I'm like not Elmer. Like what if I didn't have brain fog? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna remember as soon as we turn it off.
And it's gonna haunt you in your dreams.
The like Christmas present, past, and future. Dude.
Oh, Scrooge?
Yeah. With like walking around here.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. Pointless diatribe there. But what the fuck was I saying? Oh, okay. I'm back online now. Here we go. I have custody of the brain cell. Again.
It got Bluetooth to you.
It did. I like the orange caps waiting for the fucking brain cell. So my other one of like one of the Shatterkais have like a teleport ability where you can teleport 30 feet to a space you can see amount of your number of times equal your proficiency bonus, which mine is 2. So it's like I used 1 to get down out of the arena and into like the bottom, like out of the stands and into the arena. And then we were right around, there was like a big ass basilisk
just fucking in the exit.
And I'm like, well, that's not really gonna work for me. So I was like, can I by chance see God's light on the outside of the arena? Because I ran around and Teddy was like, yeah, but there's a basilisk right there. And I'm like, well, hang on. And he's like, can I see outside? And he's like, yes. I'm like, then I used my last teleport ability and I teleport 30 feet out.
Yeah.
And I just like blew Pred over that basilisk.
Yeah. And I think like overall the way that combat ended and in the aftermath, I remember like watching Teddy just like standing over the arena looking at the aftermath of like how y'all made it out, how y'all killed all the enemies that were on the field, including all 3 basilisks. And him being like, that was not how that was supposed to go in my head.
It was nice to have. It was like there was a lot of respect there, and it was cool to see. He's like, all right,
like,
I see you.
I have now understood the people at my table,
which is terrifying because
now he just has free reign to fuck us. Later.
Yeah, who knows?
He's like, clearly they know what they're doing, so I can crank this hoe up. But
like,
but even then, he was already like, it was already cranked.
He was.
We just had good rolls and good action economy.
Yes,
and also good party,
and we knew
dynamic.
how to play. You know, it was Bex, Alyssa, and I. We know how to play together. And so it was easy to almost, and he had our like 10th level NPC basically handling the basilisk. Aside from the basilisk that like wedged its giant lizard body in the floor, which was a choice it made. The other ones like that NPC was killing. So I think if we had to kill the basilisks, that would have been a problem. Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely an encounter that could have been so bad.
Oh, absolutely. If we were rolling well overall, and if we were not, then
if the stars had dictated that we all died that day, we would have all died that day.
We very well could have
100%. But
my monk character now would be like, man, there's hella bones in here.
There's hella bones here, man. That's crazy. All 5 of these bitches dead.
Like there's a femur and everything. Fuck.
But it was just one of those genuine moments where I sat there and like realized it's also an aspect of like all of us were playing much different classes than what we normally play.
Yeah.
And just having that kind of good feeling of like, I've been playing with these girls for so long and we really can just work so well together and pick up any class and be fucking impressive.
And just kind of trade hats of like who's support and who's attacking and who's casting and who's melee, and just fill in whatever. We're now experienced enough where we can just pick up sort of any
Yeah.
mantle that we need.
And that's a good fucking feeling. And I think I can safely attribute that to the different kinds of dynamics that I've had at different kinds
Absolutely.
of tables and party
Yeah.
makeups and player makeups.
Oh yeah.
And DMs. And I think the overall tone is like there's a lot of value to be had from
Learning.
every kind of grouping that you could have at that table.
Mhm.
And the differences are what make us good.
Make us special.
Yeah. Well, that is everything we have for
It's about time.
It's about that time. But soft reminder that, it's just a game. And
It is just a game.
It is just a game. It's just a
And
hobby.
like, you don't have to force things that aren't working if they aren't working.
Yeah.
But also, if something isn't working, have a conversation about it, and it might be fine.
Yeah.
And if you need to change some stuff, change some stuff.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask for help from other people that have played longer than you.
Yeah.
And then you too will see yourself become
Yes.
a bad bitch critting on
You
a
too can
on a
make-
BBEG and then knocking his ass
You too
out.
can make a fair parent.
You too can make
Peeve Hoet's body down
queer
a
parents
knife-
cry.
down a knife and chain.
But thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Table Talk is a podcast brought to you by Mythos Media Productions, bringing you a new episode every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Table Talk RPG, or check us out at our website, mythosmediaproductions.godaddyscites.com. All business inquiries can reach out to us via email at info@mythosmediaproductions.com.